and just, well, the thing I always get is go solo and get rid of, keep sort of expanding the group, you know. It's like, you know, having 6 or 7 people is not cost effective. You know. Go solo, but I don't want to do it, you know.
Welcome back to We Are the Fall. Or I'm not even going to say that because I'm going to say this. I'm really excited to get into this era of the fall because I feel like at this point we have covered or we've gone through the Stone Cold classic fall albums. And that's not to say that what we're getting into in these mid to late 1980s and then even further past this where aren't classics or they're not some hidden gems in here. But I think at this point, we're going to start experiencing the fall go into weird territory. And I think this is much more, I don't know, interesting in a different way. And it's going to be much more fun for us to talk about because there are so many choices that the band makes on these albums that we're about to cover coming up that are very intriguing. Like even today, when I'm listening to this album that we're covering, which is The Wonderful and Frightening World of from 1984, there's been multiple times when I'm listening to this album, and actually even multiple times during a given song, where I say to myself, that was an interesting choice. Usually because the fall songs up until this point are so strong and so interesting by themselves that you say that and then you kind of move on because like something else catches your ear or a lyric or a production sound grabs you or a guitar riff. But at this point on this album, it's such a strange album that when I say that to myself, I kind of get hung up on it, and I'm kind of like, what? I'm like, why did they do that? That I just have just completely taken aback, and I think that's what makes this album a great listen every time. Like it's so intriguing. How do you feel about this one, Steve?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if I did at first. The first listen, it was different, I guess. You know, like you said, the classics seem to have happened in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Those are kind of albums you couldn't really mess with too much, where everyone knew what they were. They were the very classic fall sound. And getting into this, it was just a new experience. You know what? We have Bricks that joined the band and kind of mix things up. We've got some new producers that are in, and
John Leckie, the producer, who was going to go on to work with the band for the next few albums and singles and so on. But John Leckie, for those not in the know, is like very well regarded producer, especially at this point. He was a tape operator all the way back in 1970 on George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, the Plastic Ono Band LP, and then Pink Floyd's Metal. He has done so much as far as helping to produce albums and then starting to produce albums as an engineer, as a tape op, and then becoming a producer in the mid to late 70s on really a lot of great albums. I mean, some of my favorite, like the Adverts, Crossing the Red Sea, uh, Magazine, there's so many. But John Leckie starts this relationship with the band, and you almost hear it immediately that the fall and we're not saying it's because of John Leckie, but there is a change in tone with the band. And I almost think about it as there's something going on as far as me listening to it where I feel like the edge of the band has been dulled down a little bit. And and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in that there is a little bit of a sunny, a sunny lightness nature to this album that I have not heard the fall sound go towards on any album or single or live performance up until this point. Do you hear that at
Yeah,
all?
absolutely. This is like the first album I could show my mom and be like, "Hey, this is what the podcast is about. You might actually listen to some of these tracks to the all the way to the end."
This is the
Like,
mom album. This is the
right?
Mother's Day album you're getting it for. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, who are the Fall? What should I listen to? You're like, this one is good. Let's put on
It's
this one.
it's a good title too for, to catch the person off guard. It's not, it's almost like it has the word frightening in there, but it's wonderful first, right? It's wonderful. And actually the wonderful nature of it does come across, but there is a dark side to this album. And I honestly think it comes in the form of the vocals delivered by the guest vocalist, Gavin Friday from the Virgin Prunes, the Irish band. And he delivers these vocals on some of these tracks where you're like, who is this? And why does he sound like this? Because it doesn't, I mean, we'll get into it, but it makes me question, you know, I kind of want Bricks because on the last album, on Perverted by Language, we get this beautiful duet that we've never heard before from Bricks and Mark together. And it really is done, it works. And then we get this album, and then you get these vocals from Gavin Friday where you're kind of like, this is a duet, but this is not at all what I was expecting a fall duet to even go towards after having Bricks doing a lovely ballad. I don't know. I think it's a great album to put the top down and cruise around loud, play it loud and you just, enjoy yourself.
It's good, and today we're going to go through the original LP version. So
UK release,
UK
right?
release
Yeah.
on vinyl.
We're traditionalists.
Yeah, we've done it this way so far. October 12th, 1984 on Beggar's Banquet. It is 9 tracks.
And it's 40 something minutes, right? Or just under. US release is, I'll say, substantially longer, even though it's, 12 minutes longer. And you get different track listing, which is interesting too. We'll talk about that towards the end because there are some questions I have as usual, maybe some track listing modifications that could have improved this album even more. This is like I'm saying we're getting into an era of the fall that is going to be so rewarding as far as discussing the very interesting choices made by the band and John Leckie as well. He's part of for the decision making, more or less, as far as the sound of the band and what goes on, because we're going to be going off the walls on a couple of these tracks.
I think we're ready to drop the needle here and see what they start with. I think it might be a calm one, I think it might be easy listening, this first track.
Honestly, this is one of my favorite introductions to a fall album. This is Lay of the Land by The Fall. I just love the way it drops in. Let's just listen to it together.
Armageddon. This beauty beautiful tree. Boo-hoo. Give up living. I'm who they given.
So I don't remember an album leading off with such a very put together start, right? Where it eases you in a weird cultish manner. I love everything about that introduction. I actually would like the guitar to be louder because the vocals, the chorus chanting, the lay of the land chant, it kind of pushes the guitar to the back, and that guitar sounds so cool. So I just want that discordant guitar to be up front and the voices to be in the back, so it's more of a weird occult choir of individuals. How do you like that intro?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it's slow, it's creepy. I was really hoping they were chanting lame, like LAME, like
Oh,
everything
yeah.
is lame. And then I was like, that probably doesn't make sense considering the name of the song.
No, but I like that.
Lame, lame. This sounds like Mark could just be calling everyone around in the stage lame. Hey, you're all lame.
I do find it bizarre that Bricks in her book says that um she says that Mark always liked lay phrases. And I said that's a very bizarre thing to really enjoy, but it does make sense. It's kind of a phrase that would probably get stuck in his brain or his mind when he hears that come lay, lay with me, or come lay down. It's almost like disorienting, telling someone to lay down, but it's also there's some sort of sinister meaning behind it, right? Because after they lay, like in some sort of position to be taken advantage of.
Sure,
And
yeah, it's a vulnerable.
vulnerable, exactly. Yeah. But I think that's great. And that beginning, it is such a with the chanting, it reminds me of chanting, but not like a cult where I just watched the movie the other day, Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen that?
We're
Stanley
not in a
Kubrick.
while.
Well, basically, it reminds me of this one scene, which is kind of the sex cult scene where they have, they're in Upper Manhattan, wealthy people having a sex cult, and they have this very cult, setup where it's very beautiful because it's Stanley Kubrick. But that movie in general, I gotta say, pretty much sucks. But they have this very fancy cult setup, and I'm like, this is not the cult that Mark is into. Mark's cult that he's into is way cooler than some snobby, stuffy, New York high esteemed sex cult. Mark is into some dirty ass,
Yeah, he's in
like
like a warehouse, like Fight Club cult sort of deal.
yeah, way
Like,
cooler. Yeah, way cooler cult. I mean,
he's not the woods cult either, though. He doesn't want to be found out there in the woods
no,
having a bonfire. But
no, he does.
take him to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. He'll
Yeah. Well, know what cult he does like because you got me that nice, The Otherwise, Mark E. Smith's screenplay that he wrote that never got made into a movie, but he has a cult in that. This won't ruin anything, but there is a cult scene, and the cult is a motorcycle gang, and it's a motorcycle gang, and they all got these helmets on with silver visors, and they are all standing around in this dilapidated barn. So you're not that far off with the warehouse. They are pretty much summoning what appears is a flaming witch, which is, now we're talking. We're not talking about some Stanley Kubrick, very shiny ass polished stuff. We're talking about Marky Smith in a barn, with his motorcycle Hell's Angels, British Hell's Angels, and that's way cooler. And that's actually the vibe I get from the song. This might as well be a motorcycle gang rock and roll anthem, a theme song for the gang.
They all get to play their instruments in a way that you're not typically used to.
Yeah.
Like they're changing.
Let's talk about those instruments. What catches your ear on this track? Guitar solo?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, guitar solos, just, I mean, heavy. There's some reverb at the end. I mean, yeah, it's
Steve Hanley is just plucking bum 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 bum. That is a great bass line. John Leckie, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to get into on the rest of the tracks as well, but the production, they got the effect on Marky Smith's voice. The song almost starts with Mark's voice almost muffled, and that might be intentionally Mark muffling it himself, as we've come to know and love. There's the production on here that we have not seen The Fall really just kind of give into. Mainly, they just want it to be what the band sounds like live, which is fair. But now they've kind of given themselves over to this wonderful and strange new thing, which is a studio trickery and magic. It really leads off the track well. That is almost a 6-minute song, and it doesn't feel like a 6-minute song because it is rocking.
Yeah, it's not the same bass for the entire 6 minutes where you're just kind of in the zone. It's changing. It's lively. It's a great song. Like you said, top down, play it loud in the car and you'll have a nice spring afternoon.
Top down, or if you're on your 2-wheel cruiser crotch rocket, then take your helmet off. Take your helmet off and blast this and be safe still. But go on the country road and just be careful, but just cruise. Let this one just like take over the highway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we nailed that one. Let's go into
2x4.
Put that helmet back on.
We haven't gone over it yet, but on this is obviously Marky Smith on vocals, Brick Smith guitar and vocals, Craig Scanlon is on the guitar, Steve Hanley on the bass, Paul Hanley drums and keyboards, Carl Burns drums and bass with the special guest of Gavin Friday. He comes in 3 different tracks on this.
The bass tone on this one is so cool. I love the Steve Hanley bass tone that has this edge to it. And also some sort of, I don't know if it's a chorus effect or a phased or even a delay, but it's different from his normal bass sound, and it's cutting through.
I wonder if anyone in England even knew what a 2x4 was when they first heard this song.
It's easy for me. At first, it was easy for me to pass this off as, this isn't one of my favorites. It's, I like when The Fall does topical style songs, and they do it when they do it well. They do it so well. This one, I feel like is almost, I'm missing some of the mystery. It's almost like too straight ahead. And maybe that's it because it is a Bricks song.
Heavy Bricks influence, right? Talking about hitting Mark with a used table leg, the old son-in-law getting beat.
I mean, I do like that, the self-referential. And this album does have the self-refer. I don't know, it might be even the most self-referential album that they have, because later in the track list we get a song named after two different band members. Not that they're necessarily about the band members, but you can make some connections. And this one obviously has a little bit of a Mark and Bricks, kind of an inside joke about Mark being accepted into the family. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go backwards, but j- just reading over some of the 2x4 lyrics, it makes me want to contrast them to the lay of the land a little bit, because the 2x4 lyrics are, like we're saying, it's a little bit, it's accessible. It's straight ahead. Lay of the Land has such great lines and even whole stanzas. When the height of culture is a bad stew, space bores, normal disorder, Indian clerk, low calorie drink. There's a lay of the land where the children circle in cycles, giving jokes ad lib by bearded writers who defected to higher realms, advertising realms. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I love to hear. And in 2x4, I'm just missing some of that. All of the detail. I don't, this is kind of straightforward with he was again the rich, he was again the poor. It's not a bad song. It's just not one of my favorites.
Yeah, you wonder if Mark always kind of keeps his songs and the great lyrics in his back pocket for the ones that he likes, and is
Yeah.
like, oh well, okay, I can make this work, but you're not getting the goods. You're getting B-roll here.
Yeah, I do wonder that. I mean, I don't think he ever was intentionally being like, this is for a good song. I think he thought all the songs, he wouldn't have released it if he didn't think they were good songs. So, but there's got to be some sort of prioritization of what are the key best ones. He was a good editor. He was a great self-editor. He's got to have ability to be like, you know what, these are the great ones. These are the good ones. I think I'm going to put the good ones with even maybe a riff that's not as good, right? Just to be like, I'm saving these for a great riff. That Craig's bringing me, or Bricks is bringing me, or Steve's bringing me. That I got some good lyrics that I want to hold off on.
Yeah, or if it's even just a subject that he knows isn't going to go that far, so he's like, whatever, we'll make this a fast one.
A short song, yeah.
We can't get too in depth. We can't get too, too out there. We'll hit him on the head.
Yeah, hit him on the head. Move on. Get out of town.
Can't all be 8-minute bombs.
Epics, yeah. So let's get into the next track, track 3, side A. Wonderful and frightening world of the fall. Copped it.
Copped it.
And this is where we get the introduction of Mr. Gavin Friday as guest fall band member vocalist. It's so funny to hear the Gavin Friday vocals come in and just going, hi, hi, hi. And it's a very, I'll definitely say unique, because it doesn't sound like anyone else's vocals, but it almost reminds me of the tone that you would hear from an old witch's voice. Do you hear that?
Sure. I always hear a little bit of like some Mark Bolan, like the high pitched stuff that he has on some of his tracks.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of the effect on it. Like
it does have a cool effect on it. It's kind of a shame that the majority of his lyrics are just hey. It's just the word hey over and over and again. And when you're working with someone like a Marky Smith, who has just it seems like infinite vocabulary and and infinite lyrics to pull from, and you are doing a duet with him, and all of you're saying is, "Hey, hey, 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 sing a
Sing a
song."
song. Yeah.
That is kind of I'm feeling a bit let down, and also I'm feeling a bit bad for Gavin in general because I feel like this is an opportunity to really do a back and forth that's more, you know, not even a call and response, but do an overlapping of vocals.
Yeah. Give me some words.
Give
More
me
than,
some words.
give me,
Give me
let's see, one.
more words. A couple more words would be great. A couple more words would be great.
I was gonna say, what has he got? He's got 3 words. He's got hey, sing, a, and song. I think that's the extent of it. I think he's got 4 words that he repeats.
Yeah, he does. Instrumentally, musically, I actually like the way the song sounds. I love this chunky, chugging along, chimey guitar, and I like the drums. I like everything that I'm hearing. And, it could be it's a great sounding fall sound and great. The band is sounding great. It's just it catches my attention and it pulls my ear towards this very unique vocal tone, which is Gavin Friday. And it almost takes away from Mark too, because my ear wants to listen to Mark, but it just keeps going to this new thing that,
Yeah, I think the
yeah.
newness of it too is truly, or newness, uniqueness, the oddity
Hmm.
of it all. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about it. And it's also makes me really wish that Bricks just sang that, even if Bricks sang that exact same thing.
yeah, it
Yeah.
seems odd to introduce him
Hmm.
to the band and to the album for that, where any of them could have
Yeah, they could have,
easily
yeah.
accomplished that task. It wasn't a unique skill set that he had, I don't
Mm-mm.
think.
They could have done the fall signature gang vocals, like the whole band, just doing that, hey, hey,
Yeah,
hey,
the
sing
football
a song. Yeah,
call and
I
response
could
sort of thing.
easily
Yeah.
hear that, easily. But you don't get that. I'm kind of disappointed too because we don't really get the Bricks, the kind of the lo-fi DIY, almost so organic sounding Bricks vocals that we get in Perverted by Language on Hotel. That is something that's so unique, and I thought it was so natural that they would do more of it after the fact. But it is very fitting that the fall said, "No, we did it. We did it. We're going to this. If Bricks is going to sing which she's going to sing with the band backing vocals." And I'm like, well, I think we're missing out on an opportunity here to follow it up with something, even go further. Like I said, I like the sound of this song.
I
There's
agree. Yeah, the
there's some
sound
good
is.
lines.
I was gonna say the lyrics are great, and kind of like
Mhm.
you said, the Gavin Friday kind of makes it almost difficult to get into them because you're like, is that going to happen again? Does it keep happening? Why is it always there? Why is it happening more? And you're just kind of like, yeah, like you said, your ears
Like,
drawn right to it.
traumatized by Gavin Friday vocals on a fall on the first fall track you hear him on.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
talking about stealing a song, you got a little Elvis Costello references in there.
Hmm. Aura of a desperate bootlicker is a great line. I just yeah, there's so many good pull out lines that you catch when you're hearing it, and then it's popping through in between Gavin Friday, uh, doing it, and even on this one too, the production I think might be intentional to get Mark's vocal mic blown out a little bit, overdriven, so that it kind of plays against Gavin Friday's very almost falsetto, I would say, uh, singing style. And I think somewhere they said maybe Bricks or someone said that his voice sounded like sandpaper, and they're right. They're right. It doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't sound abrasive in a bad way, but it definitely is it's cutting through everything.
Everything.
Like
That's what I mean. The
everything.
pitch of it and the
Yeah.
effects on it. Wash out the rest of it. And maybe it's just because it's just so different. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, this one is said to have maybe even been in an original lyric based for the Outsiders. They're their starting band.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah,
So the lyrics of the song, and
yeah,
then
exactly.
huh.
Or maybe even parts of the sound. But yeah, I think it was Tony Friel who said that this was
Oh, dang. Now that you're saying that, it does remind me that this was on the early set list. Yeah, that they would be playing, which is this. I mean, I could hear them playing. This would fit in with that early fall keyboard. I actually kind of wish it did have that original fall keyboard sound on this track. It does have multiple layers of sound here, but yeah. So we got the song called Copped It, and then let's go into a song that has a riff that is straight copped, but don't let that dissuade you because it does kind of go to a place that is interesting and totally worthwhile. Elves. When will the price of scotch come down? The important questions.
more Mark Vagaties. It's not necessarily Scotch whiskey, but talking about the popularity of the Scotch bands, the Scottish bands at the time.
Oh, well, at least he's not saying Irish. The Irish whiskey, the Irish bands, because he's got Gavin Fridays sitting in the sound booth. You don't want to be pushing off the new collaborator too soon. That does make sense because I think later he says hanging around with the pop scum. Yeah.
Yeah, can't hide the new rock scum.
And then another, all that is fantastic, leagues against me, us against them.
Get some nice keyboard in the background there.
What is that sound at like 210 that's like zoom?
Yeah, I think it's a fart.
It's definitely like someone just dropping a mic or sitting on a mic.
That's the part where Mark refused to redo the lyrics, and they could find no way to cut that out. It's like a phaser sound.
Yeah. Obviously, the riff is a complete mimicking of a Stooges riff. I want to be your dog. The way the Fall do it is so endearing. I'm not going to say one is better than the other, but they're both very good in their own ways. The way that this Fall version is so shambolic and so falling apart, it's really good. And I like when anytime the Fall have a song where it sounds like everything is almost on the verge of breakdown the is some of my best and favorite Fall sounds. And I want people to listen to this track and listen to Steve Hanley play, if you want to call it playing the bass throughout this whole track, because it seems like he is intentionally searching for notes that are not there. And it's really good. You have to turn it up because they push Steve's bass into the back, maybe because of this. But I want you to listen to it closely. He's looking for a new bass part that does not exist, and it's so fun. I love that they left it in. They could have easily overdubbed it. They just said, no, that's it. That's good.
Yeah, and I think Brick said she came in with this and didn't realize that it was the Stooges. And they just kind of went.
She did.
No,
I thought
she
she
wrote
got-
it. And no, I think she said, yeah, sorry.
No.
This is a Stooges song, but let's see where we can go with it.
They were all Stooges heads. They got to know that. Oh, they got to know that. I think they also said it was like a send up of punk rock. You know, they were kind of making a song that was in the punk rock vein, that was kind of tongue in cheek, play on the. And that's why you get all the lyrics about the Scottish bands.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a teardown of the Scottish bands for sure. But yeah, no, Brooke said, yeah, Elves was mine. I think it was I Want to Be Your Dog, which I was truly unaware. I must have heard it and not realized what I had done.
Maybe that's why Steve Hadley is like trying to be like, I got to do something different. I got to like try to change this in any way. But in true fall fashion, though, when they hit the chorus and they have that band's gang vocal that we were talking about earlier, no, never, no, never, no more. I will trust the elves of Dunsmore. It gives me weird vibes of, you got this punk rock riff, and then you got talking about elves of, mystical creatures.
I mean, I know you hate the fantasy and sci-fi world, but you just need to listen to a couple more.
I'm not the biggest fantasy guy. No.
You need to get into a couple more Led Zeppelin albums and figure out that it's okay to play rock and roll and talk about fantasy shit.
Yeah, I do not put it past them that they were taking the piss out of Led Zeppelin a little bit as well, because I could easily see that's not going to be up Mark's alley. Or maybe it was, who knows? I don't know. But he was into the Can, definitely. So, and that's in a whole other fucking orbit than Led Zeppelin. And it's definitely not the artistic realism that Mark usually is drawing upon. So that was a great side. I like that, Elves, to wrap it up. Should we look at this album art from 1984 on Beggar's Banquet? Nice big 12 inches of vinyl, and The Wonderful and Frightening World of the Fall. The front cover is by someone that we are familiar with because this was one of Brix's buddies, and he's back for another cover and fall cover, just like Perverted by Language. And this is Klaus Kastenskold. What are you thinking about this front cover, Steve?
I mean, I like the colors. I like the angularity of all the lines. I like the witch Gavin Friday singing her hey hey's out there on the that.
You seeing that in here? You're
You're not
seeing that.
You're not seeing Gavin Friday's face right in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on to my witch's cauldron, my friends.
I think I might need a couple more pints or maybe some medicinal psychedelics to get into that realm.
Whoa.
But I like where you're going with it. This character on the front cover is, the abstract nature is cool. Actually, I know what you're saying now. The face does have that witch mouth. Huh. It's just kind of a witchy mouth with the head. Yeah. Okay. I get that. These little swirls might be my favorite part that are around the fall and then in the world. Also, one thing that's kind of hidden behind the text of the full part, is this figure has an open hand, and in the hand, it appears to be some cash. What do you think that is?
Yeah.
Cash.
It says 18. I don't know. I never heard of an $18 bill, but
$18 pound.
1 pound, maybe
18 pounds.
One bill.
Yeah. One bill. 18 of American equals one of a pound. But this is cool. I like it. It's not.
She's got
I don't know.
They got a paintbrush in one hand too.
There's a couple paintbrushes.
Has a paintbrush in the hand. Oh yeah.
So maybe that's a palette. Maybe that is a palette of paints.
I mean, she's doing little mini paintings.
I kind of see like where this, I thought this green leg, I thought this was a leg at the bottom, but this looks kind of like a crumpled paint tube, oil paints with a little, thing at the end. This is still just making me sad though, because I want the Mark. I just want Mark's manifest. I want Mark design. I want it back. I'm kind of sad that era has left us, but what are you gonna do? You got to move forward with the fall, and we're gonna take it graciously. The text for me leaves a lot to be desired. This is not working for me. The text.
No. I mean, how many different font styles and sizes and
It's not even
thicknesses?
placed that interesting. It's placed around the face of the character, but then it's over the top of the character's head, like hat that the character is wearing,
I mean,
almost like a clown hat.
At least you can follow the swirl right down into their crotch. I mean, that's important.
It is a swirl that's going right into that is going right into the old pee hole. And let's flip it over. And what do we got here? We got a nice beige white background with the same font that they reused and the same text. And the only cool part I would say is the band photo, and the band looks cool.
What is the photo on the left side? I can't get an accurate.
You know what? I can't really either. Actually, let me look up in my book here, which I highly recommend to our fall heads. This is Excavate the Wonderful and Frightening World of the Fall by Tessa Norden and Bob Stanley. This book, I will say that the essays are a bit, I'm just going to say, in my perspective, tedious, because it seems at times like the authors are trying to outdo one another in their trying to make connections on various things. Just visually, all of the documentation and show posters, bills, press releases, media guides, and what I'm looking at right now, which is the album art, is so beautifully recreated and displayed that it's worth it in that. So I'm looking at the picture in here, and I cannot tell who that is, but I'm gonna guess that could be one and only Mr. Gavin Friday. What do you think about that?
That makes sense.
He's kind of bent over, and he kind of does have the hair. He looks like he has a hat on. If anyone can just send us an actual copy of this album, we can just get to the bottom of this right away. But the band looks cool. I like how the band looks in this photo on the right side. Mark's kind of turned away. He looks a little bit emo, which is cool too. Honestly, Paul Hanley looks the coolest. He's got these gloves on. He looks badass with that light shirt. He's kind of looks like the front man in this photo. Overall, I say let's move forward and get into the music again, because that's what we're here for.